Brunswick Firearms Reviews. Today we're going to be covering the Glock 19x. We will be talking about the trigger pull, the length, the reset for rapid fire. We also have a new little tool we're going to be using to give us what it actually gauges the weight of the trigger pull to tell us what our weight is on it. We'll also go over the back straps. These guns do come with different back straps to change the size of your grip. And we will also cover how to field strip this firearm for cleaning. So let's jump right on in. Typical Glock box, plastic case. They're actually pretty nice. They're kind of compact though, so it's everything's really packed in there. So, but there's two little tabs here to open it. Basically, you would plop them open, and then we're gonna open the case, and this is how it comes. So you can see everything's kind of tied in here. So first thing here, we got a looks like a cable system for the lock, so you can lock your firearm up for safety to prevent it from shooting. Comes with a little speed loader. The speed loader here is basically just a thumb speed loader. They're not the best in the world, but they do work. But it's nice that it comes. Looks like we do have 3 magazines that come with this firearm. One is in the firearm already, and then 2 here. And it looks like 2 of them have the extended magazines. And the one that's in the firearm that comes with it does not have the extended magazine. However, they are all three of them are 17 round mags. So I'm not real sure why you would want this extension here, because this is a full-size grip. So even with the magazine that's in the firearm without the extension, you can still get all 4 fingers or all 3 of your fingers on the grip with no problem, because it is full size. It's long enough to do that. So to me, it's a little overkill, but that's just my opinion, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. Let's see. Looks like here's the back straps that come with it. Comes with 2 of them, so you can make the grip wider. If you have a bigger hand, you need to make it a bigger grip, you can do that. I'll show you exactly how to use that, or how to change those out. First thing, let's check the firearm and make sure we are clear. You can see the safety flag is in the chamber here, showing that there's no bullet in the chamber, but let's go ahead and check anyways. It should be habit. So it looks like we are empty. The magazine's empty. Let's go ahead and get that flag out. I'm gonna slide it back. So we'll remove that. I'm gonna set that to the side. Look, feel. We are clear, so we are safe. So first thing I see and notice, which is great, is this gun can be set up ambidextrous. So it is an ambidextrous firearm. You can be left-handed or right-handed. The slide release you can see is on both sides. There's one here and there's one here. So you can use the slide release and lock if you're left-handed or right-handed. And this magazine release, which is right here, is designed where you can rotate it. You can actually remove it, flip it around, and put it on the right side to turn it into a left-hander's firearm. So this gun can be used left-handed or right-handed. That is awesome. Let's go ahead and close it back down. I do notice that the slide release, when I use it, really easy to use. I do like that. Some firearms, the slide release and lock is kind of difficult to use. Sometimes you have to pull the slide back a little bit to release the pressure off the slide release in order to release the slide. This one is actually really nice, and the only reason why I got my hand on it right here is not to pull back, but just to keep it, preventing it from slamming shut. But the slide release is actually really nice. I really like it. We do have a little rail here, so you can put a light on this firearm, or a laser, or combo, or anything else that would fit on there. You can do that. You can see it does have the trigger safety. You notice there are no thumb safeties on the Glock 19x. It does have a trigger safety. So in the center right here, this little mechanism here would have to be decompressed in order to pull the trigger back. So you would have to put your finger completely on it, press that mechanism in, and then you would be able to get the shot off or fire the firearm. On both sides, you can see right here, there's one on each side right here. that is how you would remove the slide. Basically, these would pull down, these little tabs would pull down, and you would be able to release the slide off in order to clean your firearm. So, what else do we have here? Looks like it comes with a little cleaning rod and a little nylon brush. I would probably go ahead and get another kit that has a brass brush as well. But this is great for quick cleaning if you're at the fire range and you just want to give it a quick little clean. That's great for that. In here you can see that the padding, there is padding on both sides, which is really great to protect your firearm. On the top side, that it only comes up halfway, which creates a little pocket, and in that pocket there is an envelope. We're not going to open it because this is a brand new gun that's going to be going on the shelf. It is sealed, so I'm not going to open it. But inside here you would find the manual for this firearm, and it would cover how to fill strip and the back straps, how to load the gun, unload the gun, a little safety stuff and features. As well as in the back of it, it'll talk about the warranty information. Very important that you read that warranty information. Make sure you do not have to activate your warranty. If you do have to activate your warranty, make sure you do that. Very, very important. So let's go ahead and put that back. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. So I do want to check out the trigger pull. Let's go ahead and see how long the trigger pull is, what the reset is for rapid fire to get a second shot off. So to do that, I want to load up a couple of snap caps. Of course, these are not real bullets. You've probably seen them in my previous videos. They have a little spring on the inside, very center of this. When you fire your gun, the object is that your firing pin is going to hit the center of this snap cap, and that spring inside is going to absorb all that momentum of that firing pin hitting it, protecting your firing pin without damaging it. So you can practice loading, unloading, and dry firing your gun safely at home. So let's go ahead and put it in. I like the feel of the spring in this thing. It's very it's a solid spring, but it's not too hard to get in there. To load the ammo in. Of course, this is a 17 round double stack, so I would imagine that by the time you got halfway down on this magazine loading it, that spring's probably going to get really stiff, and that's where your speed loader is going to come into play to save your thumb. But let's go ahead and load these two in. So we got two snap caps in. I'm going to go ahead and rack it. You can see also on the slide on both sides, it is serrated on both sides of the back of the slide. It is not serrated on the front. So just the back, that is to give you a little bit more grip, which is nice. And they actually got a little bit of, a good depth in them. They're not too deep, they're not too shallow. It actually feels really good. So let's go ahead and load one of them snap caps. So we have a snap cap in the chamber. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry fire this firearm now to see what the length of that trigger pull is. Then I'll re-rack it while I still have the trigger pressed in to see what the reset is to get the second fire off, or second shot off. I'm going to hold this fairly close to the camera so hopefully you can hear it when it goes off. So let's go ahead and check that out. After we do that, then we'll see what the weight is of the trigger pull. We'll use, we got a gauge, trigger pull gauge that's made by Wheeler, and I'll show you that shortly. So let's go ahead and check that out. So let's go ahead and get it up. I'm gonna put my finger on the trigger. So I'm gonna pull, here we go. So it is not a long trigger pull at all. It's kind of short trigger pull, which I like. It is a little stiff of a trigger pull. It's a little stiffer than I like, but we'll see what that is shortly. Let's go ahead, I'm gonna re-rack it. I'm going to get the one snap cap out. Of course, we had a second one in there, so it is loaded. I still have the trigger pressed in. So now we're going to release it and see where our reset is. So here we go. There it was. So pretty short reset. So we have a fairly short trigger pull, a short reset for rapid fire. I do like that. Very nice. Like I said, though, the trigger pull itself, the weight is a little stiff. So let's go ahead and see what that is. I'm going to go ahead and drop the magazine. I'm going to put another snap cap in here. because we are going to have to dry fire it again. We still have one snap cap in there, so we need to re-rack it, get that one out of the chamber. We've got our last one loaded in there, and actually I'm going to load another one because I do like to use the gauge at least twice and get an average. So we still got one loaded in there. This firearm is racked. So let's go ahead. This is the Wheeler trigger pull gauge. This will tell us our weight of the trigger pull. One thing I found out with using these is if you place it towards the bottom of the trigger, it gives you more leverage, so the trigger pull gauge will not be as accurate. It'll actually be too light. So you could have a 7-pound trigger pull and putting it too low and using the gauge to see what the weight is, it might come up as a 4. So I found it, if you can get, it says you should use it about center of your trigger. I found it if you can get just a little above center of the trigger, it'll gives you a more accurate reading. So with this one, we do have the safety, the trigger safety, so we can't go too high because we do have to have it pressing that in order to get the shot off or to fire the firearm to see what the weight is. So let's go ahead and turn her on. When you turn these on, you want to be real still with it in your hand because it's going to calculate everything and make sure it's set to 0. So now what we're going to do, we're going to place this end onto the trigger. Like I said, I like to be slightly above the halfway point of the trigger, and then we're going to pull back, and then it'll tell us what our peak is, and then we'll do it a second time, and then the average, we'll use that as what the trigger pull is. So here we go. Again, you must have it on there enough where it's decompressing the trigger safety. So here we go. All right, so we got a 6.7. Well, actually, it's almost 6.8. Let's see what a second pull is. Oh, got a racket. Get that one out. We got the second snap cap in there. All right, here we go. So that one is right at 6 pounds. So the first one was about a, let's do it again because I don't remember what that one was. I think it was 6.7, 6.8, but let's go ahead and try it again. And then we'll have 3. So here we go. So that one there was about a 6.3. So we had a 6.3, 6.7. So you're looking around, 6 1/4 to 6 1/2 on the weight of the trigger pull. So it's a little more than I like. I like to get down to about 3 1/2 trigger pull. Maybe, a 3 is getting really light, but I like about a 3 1/2 for rapid fire. But, overall, it's not a bad trigger. It's just heavier than I like. But again, that is a personal preference. It doesn't mean you need a lighter trigger pull. I just prefer a lighter one. All right, let's talk about these back straps. So here's the back straps. It comes with 2 different back straps. We're just going to pick one out. And this little gadget right here is the tool to remove the pin so we can put the back strap on and put the new pin in the place of that one. You will find inside the bag where the back straps are, there is another pin. And I'll show you why that one's in there in just a second. Let me go ahead and pull this. Now this tool is polymer, so it will break on you. So make sure when you're pushing that pin out, you're pretty straight, not crooked trying to push it because it will snap. So basically you can see where it is here. Hopefully you can see it on the camera right here. Let's see, I can't feel it yet, right there. So basically what we're gonna do, we're gonna line it up on there, and then we're gonna use that tool to press. You can see it coming out the other side. See it coming out right here. So we're pressing it through. So we'll go ahead and finish pressing that through so it's completely out. So we have the pin out. So the reason why it comes with a second pin is because when you put this back strap on, it's going to make the grip wider, making the original pin that's in there too short. So this one is longer, as you can see. It is longer. It's a longer pin. That way it'll catch both sides of the new grip or the back strap when you put it on. So basically you're going to put this one on. It's going to load up just like that. We're going to press it. There you go, kind of snapped into place. We're going to take that longer pin. See if we can pick it up. And we're kind of going to press down right here with my thumb to help load or line these holes up. So we're going to line them up, press the pin in. You can see it's going in, and then we're going to continue pressing so we can push it all the way through. So that's how you would to put it on. So now we have her on. You can see the pin on both sides holding it. What that did was create a thicker grip. So if your hands are really long, you got longer fingers, you need a thicker grip, then you can do that with these back straps. You do have two different sizes. It does make it feel really good there. So that's how you would do it. I'm going to take this back strap back off. And again, we would just press the pin completely out. I'm going to put the pin in the bag so we don't lose it. And then we're going to remove the back strap. And I'm going to put it in the bag as well. And I'm going to put the tool back in there too because we don't want to lose that stuff. Sometimes it's kind of hard to press the pin back in. You can use the bottom of your magazine to help you push that pin back in. It's fairly easy for me. Some people do have a little bit of problem pressing it back in. So we're going to press that pin back in that little hole there so we don't lose it. So, all right, so we are back there again. Let's talk about field stripping this firearm. On both sides, you'll see little tabs. One's right here. There's one on the other side right here. Those are designed where you're going to slide them downwards towards the bottom of the firearm. That's going to allow the slide to come forward and off of the frame, which then we can get in and remove the guide rod and the spring and get a good cleaning in there. So we don't have no issues with it cycling because of it being dirty. So the easiest way to do it, I'm going to take my thumb and right here, I'm going to put my thumb on the grip. I'm going to run my fingers across the top of the slide like that. So I'm going to hold it just like that. That's going to allow me, you can see, I can kind of move the slide just a little bit like that with that hand. You do have to pull it back slightly in order to press those tabs downwards or slide them downwards towards the bottom of the gun in order to remove the slide. So again, I'm going to pull it just like that, just a little bit. I'm going to slide those tabs down, both sides. I'm going to press forward. Oh, see, I didn't have it back far enough, so let's get it back. Slide both of those down. And then we're going to dry fire, and she'll come off. For some reason, that's a little awkward for some people. These tabs can be a little hard sometimes to press down if your hands are sweaty. There's not a whole lot there to grip, but you'll get used to it. All right, so this is the inside of the slide. You can see the guide rod and spring. We're going to be removing that. To do that, you would press this spring forward and then it will pop up and out. So we'll go ahead and take our thumb, press it forward, let it pop up, and then we're going to remove it, which allows us to remove the barrel. And the barrel you lift up on the rear end of it, and then it kind of comes out at an angle. So let's take a look here. You can see your firing pin in here. To remove that firing pin, if you wanted to, you would need some kind of tool like a pin punch tool. You can go in here. You can see there's a little spot, and you would slide it downwards. That will release the pressure, and then you can slide the butt here of the slide. This cover will actually come off, and then your whole firing pin assembly will come out. If you need to get in there and clean it, that's how you would do it. But we're not going to do that right now. It looks like there is a little lube in here. Always check your firearms. Make sure you have enough lube in them and not too much lube. Sometimes from the factory, it comes with too much lube or not enough lube or no lube. This one actually looks pretty good. I probably wouldn't even mess with it. I can see a little bit on there. You do want to put the lube on really thin. If it's on there too much, then when you're firing, the residue from the black powder will get all gooky in there and get caked up with the lube, and next thing you know is your gun's not cycling properly and it's jamming. So that is the reason why you do not want to put too much lube, but you do need some lube for it to work these parts so the action is smooth and doesn't scar up real bad. The frame itself is extremely light. It is all polymer, just a little bit of metal pieces in here. Majority of it is polymer, very, very lightweight. Now on the frame, you can see right here, there's two little rails right here. And on your slide, you can see there's two grooves on the slide here. And that rail is going to sit on that rail and slide back like that. And that's how you would put it back. So once you get this all cleaned up, you would put the barrel back in. Like, first off, here's your slide. Barrel's going to be facing that way. This is the front. We're going to turn it over. So it's the hollow point, the hollow part is up. Take the barrel in this position. We're going to kind of go in at an angle. You can see the barrel would sit into that little hole. See how it's kind of angled, and then we're just going to kind of let it drop in place, press it back, and the barrel is in there. The guide rod and spring, you can tell there's one spring that's really wide and a smaller spring that goes inside of that big spring, and then the hole on the guide rod. The bigger side goes towards the front of the slide. And you can see there's a spot here. There's a hole here that it's going to go into right there. So we're going to go into there. We're going to put that part right in there. It's going to sit. Make sure your barrel's all the way back. On the barrel, it is cut out like a half circle, and then the guide rod is actually going to sit. That circle there is going to sit down in there. So we're going to take our thumb, press it forward and down, and there she is. She is in place. That holds everything all together. It won't fall out. And then to put it back on, basically, like I said, you have the two rails, you have the two grooves on the back end here. This metal part right here, when you're sliding it back, you want to kind of eyeball it. There's two little ridge or holes right here, gaps or whatever you want to call it, where these metal pieces are going to fall in those spots. Make sure you're kind of eyeballing that when you're putting it on, because if this will turn and shift just a little bit, if it does, then when you're putting it on, that will actually hit the plate of the slide on the back side and eventually scar it. So I just kind of make sure I got it lined up. Once I do, I'm going to press it all the way forward. Then I'm going to take a snap cap. I'm going to load my magazine again, put it in, load, and then I'm going to fire, make sure we do have some action going on. So yes, it is back in. We are back working and ready to go. The sights on these firearms, the 19X, this one here has the night sights. They're 3 dots and they are night sights. The front sight is fixed, however you can replace it. These sights you can replace with aftermarket sights. If you wanted something else, you can. The back sight can be adjusted for windage only, not elevation, but windage, you go left or right a little bit. The front is fixed, but like I said, you can replace these sights on the 19X. This particular one is not MOS, it is not optic ready, so it doesn't have the optic cutout plate, but they do sell aftermarket pieces. You can take the rear slide out, and it's a plate that actually slides in its place and turns it into MOS, optic ready. They do have those as well. But yeah, overall, this gun, I would probably give it an A, maybe an A+. I would give it an A+ if the trigger was a little lighter. But again, that's a personal preference. Overall, it's a fantastic firearm. It feels good. Short trigger pull, short reset. The slide release and lock is very easy to use on it. The magazine release is, the mag catch and release, you can flip it so you can be left-handed, right-handed. I mean, overall, this is a super, super gun. Let's talk about the safety device, the locking device that comes with it. This is it is a cable system. It has a padlock with a cable. Basically, you would turn the key, release one side. You have two ways of locking this up. The first way is we would remove the magazine. We're going to rack this gun back, put the slide lock in place so it keeps the slide back, and then you would drop this straight through the chamber, through the magazine well, out the bottom, just like that, and then you would lock it in place just like that. So that's how it would go. Your second option, which I don't really like as much, is you can run it straight down the barrel, comes out the front side, and then you would lock it in place just like that. Both ways will prevent this firearm from being used. Again, it's a personal preference of how you like to do it. I just like going through the magazine well because it is easier, and you know, it's just a personal preference. Plus, this tip of this, it's not brass, so it's a little harder metal. So, you know, you're running it down inside your barrel. I'm not a big fan of that. But again, personal preferences. All right. So overall, great gun, great grip, great sights. Slide release is great. Again, I would give this an A. Possibly, I would have gave it an A+ if the trigger pull was a little lighter. Again, that is a personal preference. But again, I hope you got a little bit out of this video of the 19X. If you did, please subscribe to our channel, Brunswick Firearms Reviews, to catch future overviews and unpacking of firearms as we get them in. Again, my name is Eric with Brunswick Firearms, and thank you for watching.